Friend, let me walk you through what you actually saw in that first preseason outing and why Brian Schottenheimer is already feeling the heat without turning this into panic porn. The game began ugly, 3 handouts, too many penalties, and a run defense that looked like an open invitation to rip off big plays, which you know is our Achilles heel right now. Joe Milton flashed the kind of arm you can't teach. He can launch the ball, but he also threw behind receivers, missed timing on a few throws, and at times seemed to be trying to force the game instead of managing it. That matters, but context matters even more. The offense last night was missing most of its starters: Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson, and others weren't out there. So what you watched was a makeshift unit with depth issues exposed. I want to be very clear. Practice highlights and Twitter clips have set some fans up for unrealistic expectations because practice is practice and game day. Speed is different. Schottenheimer's staff is new. They're trying not to tip hand, so some play calling felt conservative and a touch disjointed. And when you combine that with several running backs getting nicked up, it forced more passing situations than the backups were ready for. The press conference gave us the rest of the picture. Brian was honest and a little emotional about being in the chair for the first time, proud of how the team competed in stretches, but blunt that discipline. Pre-snap alignment, avoidable penalties, and tackling fundamentals needs work. On the plus side, some of the backups earned real looks. Malik Davis looked better in the second half, Ryan Fennoy hauled in a few plays, and Tom Holden flashed with 2 catches for a nice game. Those little moments matter in camp battles. My worry isn't panic. It's the specific problems we keep seeing. The run defense giving up big yards and a lack of depth in key spots. Those are coachable, yes, but the staff has to clean them up and fast. So here's where I want your take. Do you think Schottenheimer's message of learning from film buys him time, or does this start putting him on a short leash? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments. Name one back you want to see get more reps, and if you want straight, no-nonsense Cowboys breakdowns every time the pads come on, hit subscribe. We're pushing hard for 16,000 subscribers, and every like helps. Brian Schottenheimer's post-game presser gave us a layered look at the man now running this team from the sideline. You could hear it in his voice, the mix of excitement, responsibility, and the sting of knowing the night didn't go as planned. He admitted flat out that the start was rough, that at one point his offense had been out-executing in that early stretch, and that converted 4th downs and penalties had killed momentum. But instead of hiding behind the usual coach speak, Schottenheimer pointed to specifics: Joe Milton firing fastballs early, the defense allowing conversions on 4th down, and the offense failing to sustain drives. His tone was equal parts teacher and competitor, praising the fight in the second half, but refusing to excuse the penalties and breakdowns in discipline. 11 flags in a preseason game isn't just sloppy, it's a red flag unless fixed. He emphasized pre-snap discipline and proper alignment, and that's not coach speak. That affects how many plays you even get to run in a drive. He also showed his human side. In that exchange with Jerry Jones before the game, you could tell this job meant a lot to him. He got a little emotional talking about it, and that matters because it tells us how invested he is. But emotion doesn't win games without execution, and I paid attention when he talked about practicing game situations like the real thing, throwing his first challenge flag, managing late clock scenarios, and testing communication with his staff under live conditions. That's the kind of approach that builds good habits, but only if the players match that urgency and fix fundamentals quickly. After hearing his comments, I want to know what you think. Do you buy Schottenheimer's will fix its stance? Type yes or no in the comments and tell me why. Joe Milton's preseason debut was the kind of performance that sparks both hope and frustration in a fan base. On one hand, you can't teach arm talent. Milton's throws have zip, and when he connects it looks effortless. Those practice clips made some fans dream big, but the truth is game day speed exposes timing, touch, and decision-making deficiencies that practice rarely does. We saw passes that zipped past receivers, deep shots that relied more on velocity than placement, and mechanics that rushed under pressure. It's not a knock on his ceiling. He clearly has upside, but it's a reminder that raw ability needs seasoning against live defenders. The Dak replacement talk needs to cool down for now. Put Milton in the same bucket as other backups who flashed: Cooper Rush, Trey Lance, Eddie Dalton, players with tools but not yet ready to step in and run this offense consistently. That said, he showed toughness after taking a shot to the elbow, and initial reports say it's not serious. so he'll have time to refine his reads and accuracy. If you had to set a timeline, what would you give him? 1 year, 2 years, or wait and see? Drop your vote in the comments. If enough of you want it, I'll put together a full mechanics breakdown from the tape. Hit like if that's something you want. Depth was one of the biggest takeaways from this first preseason game, and not always in a good way. Strip away the starters and you get a clear view of what's behind them, and for Dallas that picture was mixed. The running back room highlighted the problem. With injuries forcing reps, Malik Davis stepped in and ran with purpose in the second half, showing urgency and bursts that can earn him a spot. But the overall run game in the first half was nearly non-existent. That suggests things were thin when the lead backs aren't in, and the line depth isn't consistently creating lanes. The offensive line depth looked like a potential concern if injuries hit, and depth at tackle, the ability for backups to slide and be effective across multiple positions, is something to track as we move through camp. Wide receiver depth had some bright spots. Ryan Fennoy's catch and Tom Holden's 2 receptions for 40-yard stick out, but the drop-off from the regulars was obvious. That's to be expected to a degree in preseason, but it puts pressure on the front office to decide whether to stash certain players on the practice squad or add a veteran to steady the room. Defensively, the issues we saw last season showed up again. Stopping the run remains a problem. Giving up 180 yards on the ground in any game is an evaluation item the coaches can't ignore. That's why Schottenheimer hammering tackling fundamentals and discipline is not just talk. Those are the repairs that need to happen now. Not in mid-season when you face a team built to run the ball. If you could stash one player from this game on the practice squad, who would it be? Drop the name below. And do you think the Cowboys should sign a veteran running back before week 1? Yes or no? Vote now. So what must happen next? First, the coaches need to clean up penalties and discipline. Pre-snap mistakes and alignment penalties are self-inflicted, and stall drives, that's on coaching and on players owning situational football. Tackling technique and finishing plays have to be non-negotiable in practice. Second, Schottenheimer needs to create clearer communication and situational clarity so that backups understand tempo, cadence, and how to respond when the pocket breaks down. Third, the staff must honestly evaluate depth across the board, offensive tackle versatility, running back durability, and receiver reliability, and be willing to add a veteran presence if the internal options aren't consistent. From a quarterback perspective, let Milton develop. He needs coaching on touch throws and processing under pressure. That's growth work, not a quick fix. And finally, Jerry and the front office must give the coaching staff runway to correct these early errors while still holding them accountable for progress. Fans should temper hot takes and instead watch for tangible improvements in discipline and run defense in the next 2 preseason games. That's the real barometer. If you're with me on a tempered outlook, hit like, and if you want these daily breakdowns throughout camp, subscribe and tap notifications. We're hammering towards 16,000 subscribers, and every share helps get better content to more fans. Before I sign off, a few quick actionable things I'll be watching, and you should too. How the staff handles tackling drills and gap assignments in practice, whether any veteran additions appear on the wire for the backfield or line, how Milton's intermediate accuracy changes with game speed reps, and whether penalties drop in the next outing. Those metrics will tell us more than a single preseason scoreboard ever could. Now, I want to hear from you. One last poll. Should the Cowboys give Schottenheimer more time to fix these issues? Or should the staff consider a faster course correction? Type more time or time's up in the comments and explain briefly. And seriously, if you haven't yet, subscribe and share this with 3 Cowboys fans who love the team but want the real analysis, not just hype. We'll be here through camp and every preseason snap, breaking it down so you know what matters.